Timothy Cameron, Prodigal Son, From Fallin to Callin. Prodigal Son, From Fallin to Callin, Timothy Cameron.
Speeches can save lives. Case in point. A woman by the name of Mary Jo Robinson changed my life. She impacted it in such a way that I can say she taught me more about forgiveness than any other single human on this planet. She showed me that she could forgive the unforgivable. Her son, Mark, was killed by an alcohol-impaired driver in St. Paul. At the time of sentencing for the offender who killed Mark, she walked into the courtroom, approached the young man who killed him, looked him straight in the eye, and said, "I want you to know something. I want you to know that I love you and I forgive you for killing my son." And as you might guess, that kid broke down crying because he did care. He cared deeply. And that story, hearing that speech, floored me, changed my life. After she got done speaking, I approached her and said how it impacted me. My life had been impacted by an alcohol-impaired driver as well. There was a fatality, and nothing has been the same since. After that, Mary Jo and I became partners in MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. We teamed up. We went to MAD panels and spoke to victims and offenders and tried to change lives and stop drunk driving. Had a lot of success with that, I feel. However, what I didn't realize is that I was in a lot of trouble. I was suicidal. After I get done speaking, I wanted to kill myself. The world itself never feels quite right for anyone unless they learn to resolve the gift of pain. It took me a lot of work. Mary Jo, she resolved her pain through love and forgiveness. But forgiving and loving my offender, it took a while, like 8 years a while. Why? Because my offender was me. I was the one who killed someone. I told Mary Jo, I'm quitting MAD, I'm done, I can't do it. I didn't join MAD to be suicidal, and she said, nope, you're not quitting MAD. Here's what you're going to do instead. You're going to do mirror therapy. She said, every morning you stand in front of a mirror, point at yourself, say your name out loud, and say, Timothy, I love you. And you do that until you mean it. Well, 8 years later, I finally meant it. Loving and forgiving myself allowed me, like the proverbial phoenix, to rise above my fall. MAD became my ministry rather than my torture chamber. I went from falling to calling. Indeed, the prodigal son came home and was loved and forgiven by me. I could offer you a warm embrace to help you experience what forgiveness feels like. When you hug someone, you can feel them, you can feel their soul. But doing that would take a lot of work. It'd probably take a half hour. There's enough people in the room. So I have to hug you with my words instead. The More Loving One is a poem penned by the great late poet W.H. Auden, one of my two favorite poets. He wrote a poem titled The More Loving One. And in that poem, I just ask you to really silently, with circumspection, just kind of dwell on it from the inside. Maybe even close your external eyes and open the eyes of your heart as you hear this one stanza. He wrote, how should we like it for stars to burn with a passion for us we couldn't return? If equal affection cannot be, let the more loving one be me. For those that actually close your eyes, feel free to open them again. Take a deep breath. I hope you contemplated something there. I want to say that one of the great rewards for being the more loving one is straightforward. There's many rewards. Is if you love others, you'll always have love in your life. Forgiveness is one form of love. Expressing forgiveness, first and foremost, is an expression of love, birthed by and for you. It's just one form of love, but it's one that transmutes a life in its entirety. It's done in its entirety. It freed Mary Jo. It freed me. Never saw one of these before, have you? Don't worry, it won't last long. Passing on forgiveness is a good virus to have. For it transmits and reconnects us to a broader healing for all of humanity. A Mother Teresa story. She's being interviewed by two really well-known radio announcers on the West Coast. They were opening a homeless shelter, and she was promoting it, and they got through the entire interview, and at the very end, they caught her by surprise by saying, Mother Teresa. Mary wasn't there. Mother Teresa. Unless she was Mother Mary, she was assisting somehow. But you've lived your entire life helping others. What can we, and maybe the listening audience, do for you? For you. And she said, what you can do for me is find somebody who feels totally alone and persuade them that they are not alone. My call to action is just that. I'm going to ask you to find not just one person, but 3 people a day that feel alone, and convince them that they're not alone. Tell 3 people a day that you love them, not just the easy ones, but for 1 year, try this as a grand experiment, if you will. Tell 3 people a day that you love them, no matter what. And not just the easy ones, find the hard ones. At least one a day. Somebody who doesn't think like you, look like you, might be even in a different political party, forbid, right? But tell somebody you love them. It'll change your life, and the day will come, you'll look in the mirror, and you might not know the person that was there. Fellow Toastmasters.